Hello, my name is Gordon and welcome to the channel. Today we're gonna talk about my first impressions of the Modern Warfare 2 Beta Weekend 1. This has been a ride. This game has definitely impressed me in a lot of areas, and it's annoyed me and a lot of players in the community in many other areas. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the maps first. The one that you're seeing right now is Bringberg Hotel, or just Hotel for now. This is probably the worst map out of the three that we had access in the beta. There's also the museum one, which I didn't get to play, and a lot of people said that was the worst one out of the three that were available at the time. Now Hotel is the worst one. It definitely flows a little weird, even in Domination, but I like that modes like Hardpoint, for example, do bring a sense of direction to this map. I believe this map will actually be quite dependent on objective game modes to bring itself together, because modes like TDM just feel completely random. This map is quite annoying, enemies pop up from completely random places, it's almost unpredictable unless you're using, or unless you have your bird eyes perk available, or you have constant UAVs up in the air. But even still, the flow of this map is quite random when it doesn't force any engagements on a specific area. Again, Hardpoint will probably play a lot better in this map. Domination, yeah, it's okay on the map as well, but I feel like maps like Farm 18, for example, are much better. They flow quite well. The map, for being the sort of new version of Shoot House, is quite interesting, and it has more complexity to it than I was expecting. But I also like that even in TDM it has more direction than the other maps in the game. It's more frenetic, it's close quarters. The middle portion of the map, the offices, are gonna be dominated by shotguns and some SMGs. But I also like that the access points to that B flag aren't in the open as much. You actually do have some protection, which makes the flag itself easier to capture in general. And you can prepare for incoming enemies at any point, throwing shock charges or mines or claymores or things of that nature. You can see where your enemies are coming from before you actually see them. TAC cameras can also help a lot in this situation, but there are field upgrades, so you won't see them as often. And TDM, yeah, it still played better. In fact, some of the side lanes of the map still have some action to them. I like to see that map as a sort of reverse 3-lane of sorts, where the home flags are located in the middle of the side lanes, instead of on the extreme ends of the map. And finally there's Mercado, and Mercado reminds me a lot of Farm 18 as well. Same idea with the sort of reverse 3-lane, but not exactly, because this one is more like a traditional 3-lane. The home flags in Domination are on the extreme ends of the map. However, when you spawn, as the match starts, you spawn nearest to the B flag, which I don't think I've ever seen in a Call of Duty map before. It makes Domination matches very interesting at the start, as both teams are going to immediately go to the B flag first, almost a team battle on one area of the map. And then the home flags are kind of an afterthought. Maybe one or two teammates are going to try to go to that flag and capture it, but I've seen, at least from the games that I've been playing, most people will try to go to the B flag first and then go on to the other flags. It's quite interesting, and other than that, it has the best flow of any of the maps and also the best colors. It's located in Mexico, of course it makes sense that it has the best colors in the game. My favorite out of these three is still Farm 18 though. Not that I didn't like Mercado, it's my second favorite, but I think I like the flow of Farm 18 a little bit more. We'll have to see though. My thoughts on map favoritism is they're gonna be constantly evolving as the game progresses, as the second weekend goes on. Maybe we'll have access to the museum map again. Still quite unsure as to which one's my absolute favorite map out of the three, but I'm leaning more towards Farm 18. Now for the weapons. The new gunsmith system is quite awesome. I really like what they've done with it, especially the whole receiver thing. I understand that a lot of the community found it confusing at first, and I'll try and explain it in a different video, but I will say that it's much easier to understand once you have your hands on it. I've seen many people try to explain it, even though the explanations haven't been that useful to myself. It's really a thing that you have to have it in your hands to understand. Sadly though, in this beta we have a very limited use of it. We can only customize the M4 platform, so that's 5 guns, and then the MP5 platform, which we weren't supposed to play with. We could only access it thanks to an exploit with the Overkill perk. And even still through that, we could only customize 3 weapons in a platform, where there's normally 5. As for the rest, there's some LMGs, there's some other ARs, SMGs and whatnot that aren't customizable, and we could only use them through default classes. Same for some other unlockables like the Dead Silence Field upgrade. But that will be unlockable on weekend 2, so by this point this is gonna be kind of irrelevant. The weapon balance, was there any real weapon balance? The MP5 dominated this first weekend, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna dominate the second weekend as well. I just expect them to tone it down a little bit. It definitely felt the strongest out of all of the guns in the game. But other than that, I was quite surprised to see Exclusive Ace's results on average time to kill in this game, and to conclude that it was perfectly average for the series, and even being more average than a game like Black Ops 2. At least for assault rifles and SMGs, but I was quite surprised. How the heck is Black Ops 2 faster time to kill game than this? Where it feels like in this game you get melted immediately. There's theories that it could be connection. Some people are calling out bad netcode. I'm not gonna rule that out entirely because I have felt the netcode to be quite wonky for myself. And as you can see from my gameplay, my ping is 120 milliseconds. Because of my location, and there's nothing I can really do about that, and that's the minimum I get. It sometimes gets worse. And even in games like Modern Warfare 2019, that connection doesn't feel awful, at least for my personal standards. Even when it goes like to 150, even 180 is more noticeable, but below that, it's still workable for me. But in this game, even some of the better connections, it sometimes just feels wrong. But nevertheless, it could also be the fact that players are way more passive in this game. That's an issue that gets solved over time, once people are more comfortable with the maps and the general feel of the game. But unfortunately, this game does reward passive tactical gameplay over aggressive gameplay. And I've suffered through that because I like being aggressive myself, but this game forces me to be more tactical about it. I had to go through the same paces in Modern Warfare 2019, and eventually I did get used to it, but for some reason this game feels a little different as well. I don't know, that's also another thing that we'll have to see over time. The perk system! It needs work. It's gonna get work. Infinity Ward has already updated the fact that they're going to accelerate the earn rate of perks in this beta. The system itself is not something I hate, to be honest. I find the pros of the system to be quite interesting. It allows for the existence of crazier perks. It can even justify the existence of Ghost in its current form, where you don't need to move in order to be completely removed from the minimap. It's an ultimate perk, it's the last thing that you earn, so it's only really going to affect you and other players at the very end of the match. But is it a perfect system? Not really, it has flaws. Joining a game in progress means that you'll be way behind when it comes to your perk progression. And I've also been joining quite a lot of games in progress, so I definitely have fell victim to that particular flaw of the perk system, but to be honest with you, I haven't felt it. At least not that drastically. Of course, like I said, it needs work, and Infinity Ward is going to accelerate the earn rate of the perks. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe people will be a little more satisfied. But at the same time, if we're needing to accelerate the perk system like this, maybe the solution is to just not have it in the first place. I'm in two minds about it. Either way, I don't think Infinity Ward is going to remove the system, they're just going to try to find workarounds. If I need to say anything, is this whole match in progress thing. They should calculate the average earn rate of the players in the match and put you somewhere in the middle. If most players have been getting their bonus perks by the time you join the match, then maybe you should already have it, or you should be extremely close to having it, rather than having a simple slashing down of time when it comes to how you earn your perks. It is designed, I believe, to give you bonus perk at 4 minutes, without any interaction from you as a player. So if you join 2 minutes into the match, then it's going to slash only those 2 minutes, but it's not really going to take into account how much at a disadvantage you are compared to other players. Because, as Exclusive Ace also calculated in another video, you kind of earn the bonus perks at around 2 minutes or so, if you are earning a fair amount of score yourself. And then the ultimate perk you earn at about 4 to 5 minutes, when it's designed to be at around 6. So again, depending on how late in the match you join, you may be at a huge disadvantage when it comes to you not having that ultimate perk or even that bonus perk compared to your enemies. So that's a problem that was created out of the system, and there needs to be better ways to resolve it. Not just slashing down any specific amount of time, but rather calculating it. Other than that, I feel like it needs more time in the oven for us to really determine whether it's a good system or not. Most people in the community already wrote it off as a bad system. I don't want to do that just yet. There are some things I like about it, and in other areas I just don't mind it. I really don't mind that system. I'm not the kind of person that gets annoyed by these things too much. So we'll see with time. This weekend 2 may be crucial to letting us understand how good this perk system can be or how bad it can be. Accelerating it is definitely going to be an interesting way of testing it out. Finally, equipment and field upgrades. I like the field upgrades overall. They brought back most of the ones from 2019, while adding some interesting ones. I mentioned before the TAC cameras. I like those quite a lot, actually, for aggressive play. I know some people are gonna say, yeah, tactical cameras are great for encouraging people to play more campy, because you can just tell where people are gonna be coming from, and then you can ready yourself, aim in that direction, and then shoot them while you're standing in a safe space, of which there aren't that many in this game, and they are not too difficult to disrupt. Even though footsteps do not help in that situation, but even still, while that style of using the cameras is viable, I like to use them in a more strategic way, where I would put them on a place where I expect enemies to come from, but I'm not sure when they're gonna be coming. You can use 2 of these cameras at the same time. You have to earn them separately, of course, but you can have 2 cameras at the same time. And when a sensor of those cameras trigger, you will know. There is a specific sound to the camera. Right next to the field upgrade icon, you can also see a warning sign when there's an enemy nearby, and also you can just check the camera yourself and see who's coming from that angle. So you can be ready, even as an aggressive player. You will know. It helps a lot with awareness, and I feel that for people learning the maps, the TAC camera might actually be one of the most useful things in the game. It'll help you understand flow a lot better. I suppose it could also be considered like a UAV light, where you don't really see the red dots, but at least you have awareness of what's going on in any specific lane. But of course, you need to keep track of where your cameras were located at any point, and not just throw them randomly at any place. I started doing that, and I realized that the effectiveness of the cameras just wasn't there anymore, so need to be more strategic and thoughtful about where you place them and what you do with them. Another interesting one is the decoy. It's a lot more effective than I thought it would be. I didn't think an inflatable decoy would be that good for distraction, but it turns out it kind of is. I've seen it placed on the B flag, for example, on Mercado, and it did confuse me quite a lot, but I suppose it was more effective when players were proning behind the decoy and shooting you as you were shooting the decoy. So yeah, apparently they can be quite effective. But yeah, that's it for now. I'm quite interested to keep playing this game. I really like what I played, but there are things that definitely need fixing. One last thing, I suppose, for the weapons, there's way too much smoke coming out of the barrel when you shoot them, and there's also way too much smoke coming out from the enemies as they shoot, which means that visibility in the gunfights is really, really bad. Compared to regular visibility in the game without gunfights, it's a lot better. It's a massive improvement from 2019. But in the gunfight, it's actually quite hard to keep track of your enemy. I've lost many gunfights because of that. They did say that they're gonna remove that for weekend 2, so we'll see. I am very interested to see, with all of these improvements that they're gonna do, how this game plays. I do want to make a different video talking about their feedback, and I want to mention some things about Infinity Ward as a studio, but a bit of a heads up from that. They're quite a stubborn studio. I think we all know that at this point. Infinity Ward has a vision for a game, and they stick with it, despite the entire community being against them. And somehow we're still playing their games. But anywho, there's more things to talk about in this beta, and I really, really want to start making more videos about this game. So, that's it for now. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.